Hello guys, welcome to my review tips and views. Today we're going to be covering GolfTopia. We're going to be looking at similarities to Sim Golf, details about the game itself, and is it the right game for you? So, GolfTopia. Getting the obvious out of the way, yes, this game is essentially a spiritual successor to Sim Golf, but this game seems more than just a sequel or more than just an extension of what Sim Golf was. Not only does this game add more extras into the game, but has a potential to take this game and this format to a new level. And these are things that I'm going to be speaking with you for now. Now, regarding the idea of is this game for you, if you're not a fan of golf, that is not necessarily an issue. While this is a golf management sim and you do build a golf course, this game is quite similar to other games like SimCity, Planet Coaster, City Skylines, Theme Hospital, so if you are a fan of that style of game, you may still enjoy GolfTopia even if you're not necessarily a fan of golf itself. As with many games of this particular type, it's very straightforward to initially get into, but has so much depth to it that you could spend literal hours building what you deem to be the perfect course. And this is something that I hope can potentially be expanded on in the future, but I will get into those bits later on. In terms of the initial time, attention it requires, and how much you will get for the cost, I believe this game can offer a lot of depth to people who enjoy it, especially people who enjoy building and decorating. You can get many hours out of this game. The initial video sort of example island that they show you when you first boot up the game shows many different courses and some of the things that you can do with the additions to this game over the original Sim Golf that will give you things that you can delve into if you would like to. You can build an original sort of classic golf course and not include many of these extras, but the extras are things that you may want to delve into if, like myself, you are the type of achievement hunter or someone who will want to complete the game. Now, moving along to graphics. Now, this game itself does not require a massively powerful machine, which is good because it means that you do have the ability to play this on a lower end machine. The graphics themselves are actually very well optimized. They're pretty enough to make the game look aesthetically pleasing, as you can see on screen, while optimized well enough to run on lower end machines without slowing the machine down. The characters themselves from a distance look fine. They may not potentially live up to some people's expectations when zooming up close, but believe me, once you have a few hundred people on your course, your machine will still thank you for it. Moving along to the music itself I think is one of the highlights of this game. The soundtrack itself is remarkably well put together. It's very nice to listen to. And the developers have actually added the soundtrack to YouTube so you can listen to it externally outside of the game. It gives a depth to the game while playing that makes it nice to listen to while sat in the background, but is not distracting enough to pull you away from what you're actively focusing on. So, upon starting a new island, you're given a series of sliders. Many people who play this type of game may be familiar with things like the amount of water on your island, and the amount of hills, mountains, grass, temperature, etc. You're also given a grid which allows you to select the corner of the island or the square that you would like to have as your initial starting point. You're also given a seed value, which means that you can share these islands with people if you find the quote perfect island. But this is essentially your main starting point and will build the map that you basically play the game on. Now when you initially start, you will be given your original square that you select, where your clubhouse will go, and you will also have enough money generally to buy one additional square. This means that you have a maximum of 2 squares in order to build your initial 3 courses before you have to start upgrading the clubhouse. This is something to take into consideration when picking your initial starting point, and also it's probably worthwhile potentially planning which way roughly around your island your route is going to go when you initially are designing your island. This will save you a lot of hassle later on. Now initially I would probably recommend looking at things like the initial ground types, things like your fairway, firm fairways, the green, the rough. Things like sand traps and grass are all important when building your courses. Initially, you will primarily use the fairway and the green to draw your courses out, although putting a rough cut around the approximate shape can help you map out your courses without actually making them part of the course and easily to change around as you need to. This brings us nicely into more advanced courses with the awards. The F4 key on your keyboard will bring up an awards list where by achieving certain things on certain holes, that particular hole can earn a reward. This can be anything from having certain things visible like trees and rocks, to having certain type of hazards, or to using certain types of gadgets. Gadget is something that you may want to explore later in the game once you become accustomed with actually building your courses, but is something if you want to achieve these awards that you'll need to experiment with. In terms of keeping your golfers happy, clicking on a golfer and following them around the course so you can see things like when they're becoming hungry or thirsty, and putting appropriate amenities like toilets and drinks and snack machines at the end of a particular hole can help you with keeping your golfers happy, generally speaking. It also can help for you to design your course so that certain holes all congregate into a certain area, which will enable you to add these amenities for multiple holes without having to litter your entire island with them. Gadgets are something that you can experiment with. Again, these are not specifically required for your golf course, but can add a lot of fun. Everything from pinball style bumpers to fans to bouncers that will bounce your ball up in the air to rings of fire. These things help make your course more exciting for golfers and can also help you earn those all-important awards. Now, when I spoke about keeping your golfers happy, this is a very important point. Every time one of your golfers gets unhappy, they can sprout random weeds around your island. These weeds, if left unchecked, can grow into super weeds and can cause you a bit of a problem, especially if your golfers see them, as it makes them unhappy and therefore sprouting more weeds. My personal tip for this is the laser turrets. These are very useful. They show the area that they effectively cover for you, and by placing these strategically around your island can basically reduce the weeds to nothing and not being a problem. But it is definitely something to be aware of and to keep tabs on as you begin to build your island. Every 3 holes within your island you will need to upgrade your clubhouse. This is definitely something worth saving up for, not only to be able to build more golf holes on your island, but also expanding your clubhouse will bring with it essential rewards. These are things that will unlock and extras that you can gain to help you expand your island as you develop it. This brings us into the tournaments and the golf playing section of the review. Now, by clicking on either your manager or on your clubhouse, you can play a practice round of golf on a particular hole, or you can launch a tournament. First off, playing holes. Playing the holes allows you to get a general feel for the hole itself, although there is certain aspects I wish would be more similar to a traditional golf game. Not to take away from the experience that you receive in the game, it's just my personal preference. I'd like if it was something more like a sensible golf or a classic kind of Mario Golf style thing, but it still gives you the ability to play the hole, and that in itself will level up your manager, which then helps with the next section, which is tournaments. Launching a tournament on your island allows you to play against other AI players, at which point you can attempt to win the tournament or see how well you're doing. This in itself is an awesome addition to the game, and is something that can be a lot of fun, and it just adds an extra layer to this game. While not required, it's definitely something that I would recommend experimenting with, even if you're not a fan of golf, because it does add extra depth to the game itself. This game is definitely not specifically a fast-paced game. While there are certain things you need to pay attention to, the game does give you a certain amount of laps for you to be able to divert your attention. This can be very useful if, for example, if streaming the game, as it does allow you to keep up to date with chat, see what's going on, and easily talk and address your audience while still being able to play and maintain the game. This game specifically is not what I would classify as fast-paced. It is very much a long play game, and it will take you a decent amount of time in order to fully flesh out an island. This can be very useful while streaming by asking your audience for their opinions or gauging their interest and evolving the island from there. So in terms of a game for streaming, if your audience is the type of person to enjoy this style of game, I definitely think it's one that can be very beneficial. The game as it is at the moment is a very, very good base game. I definitely think that there is a lot here to get people's teeth into, and there is a lot of room for potential expansion. Everything from additional island types, more plants, more different types of land, potentially even things like different coloured fairways, and things could easily expand this game to a whole new audience. Adding additional potentially online playing options, for example allowing you to have a tournament on another player's map, or allowing you to visit other players' islands that are online or stored in the cloud for you to be able to go and play a practice round on their golf course, can again add additional depth to this game as a whole. I would also quite enjoy to see additional theming options, potentially things that go everything from even more sci-fi to potentially medieval to things like retro, 80s inspired, even things down to mini golf style platforms with a smaller island itself that specifically caters to that style of gameplay. This game has a lot of potential for new growth and for adding new features and new functions that could really take this game way beyond the original sim golf concept. A few things I would love to see personally added to this game is things like a campaign mode where you move from one island to another, potentially with a starting set of courses that you need to expand or obtain certain objectives, much like you see in games like SimCity and Theme Hospital. I would also love to see more streamer integration in this game, for example allowing your chat to appear as players in the game itself, both for things like Twitch, Facebook gaming or YouTube gaming, and additional things like potentially integrating alerts into the game itself. These features would make the game a lot more engaging to stream for streamers, and would also allow viewers to feel more engaged with the game that they're watching itself. Overall, I would most definitely recommend this game. I think there's so much depth available to it that people will really enjoy what the game has to offer, and the potential future of this game has so many options that I look forward to seeing what the developers are able to do with it. I can't really say any more highly of how much I've enjoyed playing this game over the 48 hours that I played it now, and I wanted to make sure that I gave it a decent amount of gameplay before doing this review so that I could fully encompass all of what's available and see what could potentially come in the future. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.